side, and I'm going to make the next finger. I'm going to make this have 2 joints. So it's pretty much the same process as before. I'm cutting out triangular sections here. There's one. There's one. Hopefully you can see that well. There's one section. And here's another section. You want to line them up. So that's what it looks like. We have 2 sections now. And now it's pretty much the same as before. I'm going to poke a hole above the top of those cutout sections. And then I'm going to get my pipe cleaner. And I'm going to do the same as before. I'm going to put the pipe cleaner through. Oops. Make sure it stays down the whole path. Putting the pipe cleaner through. And this end over here, you want to make sure that holds onto your string to pull the string actually into the hole that you punctured with the toothpick. So I'm pushing it down. And now I'm making sure the end of the pipe cleaner is actually going into the hole. And it's right now pulling that string through that hole. It's going to be a pain to do otherwise. And now I'm pulling it all the way out. So now I can set my pipe cleaner aside because I have the string going through that hole, like so. And you can see my 2 joints here. And now, just as before, I'm going to tie it off. And really any way you want to tie it off is fine. I'm going to make a loose knot and then use some tape to hold it in place. So, let me try that again. Twist it around. Really, any way you can get the string from not falling back through the hole is fine. And I'm going to use a little piece of tape so it doesn't slide her out. So, you can always trim off the excess if you don't like it. Okay, so now this is pretty much a complete second finger, with this time with joints. But I'm encountering an issue here. Notice how one joint is weaker than the other. So this joint here that's weaker than the other, this is going to bend first. And what you probably want is the joint near the end of the finger to bend the most. So I did this deliberately. So if you want the end joint to bend the most, you want to make that a weaker joint. So when something's going to give, that's the first part that's going to give. So I'm just going over here, trimming it out a little bit more. And now, that should be a lot weaker here than it is here. So when I pull it, the end, there we go. See how the end is giving first, and then the second joint goes? So especially if you're doing 3 joints, you want to make sure that the one closest to the end is weakest, and the one closest to the palm of the hand is the strongest. So then it goes furthest and then closest. So now we have 2 fingers, so we can try, let's just make a claw with 2 fingers. So I'm going to put them on opposite sides, and again I want to make sure that they're pointing in the right way I want. And I'm going to tape them in place. Right about here. I'm choosing to only do 2 claws on this hand, 2 fingers on this hand, but that's up to you, what you're designing. Depends on what you're trying to get your claw to do. If you were trying to maybe like pick up a ping pong ball, you might want more than 2 fingers. But if you're trying to do something like pick up a cup or something simpler, you probably can get away with just 2 fingers, kind of like a simple robot claw. So now we have 2 fingers. One that looks like the yellow one with 2 joints, and the other one has the simple one joint. The next part, you'll notice that there's not a lot to hold on to here. So when you have all the fingers that you want, you can add a second cup to give you something a little bit better to hold on to. And this is why it was important to not have these straws going so far off the cup that they would hit the cup that goes on the bottom. And you can tape that up as well as you can. That's probably strong enough. And now it gives me something to hold on to. So when I pull these, it can help me pick up something. It also helps to have the string go into this bottom cup. So I think that helps. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to carefully poke a little hole right about here. This can be a little tricky. Helps to have a sharp toothpick, which this is not. I'm going to poke it through. There, got through eventually. Now we have a hole there. Let me straighten up the cup. And now we have a hole there, and just like as before, we can use a pipe cleaner to help you get the string through that hole. So what I'm going to do now, put the pipe cleaner in through that hole. What I'm trying to do is get this string going in the cup rather than across the cup. So just like as before. I now have the string inside that hole. And bring it out. And now you can see it works a little bit better when the string is in the cup. Now it's in the cup. And that helps you pull them at the same time. And it keeps it a little bit neater. And you can do that with the other finger too. That has both strings going through the part of the cup that you'll be holding. So these fingers don't particularly match because one of them has 2 joints, one of them has 1 joint. So you probably want to have something that matches whatever you decide on doing. But you can definitely see you could even put these together and pull them at the same time if it was something like a claw. Or if you wanted to have more control over each finger at a time, you can put them in and keep them separate, and you can tie loops on them so you can manipulate them in every gesture you want. So anyway, here is a basic claw design for a robot, and you can use these to pick up things. One way to improve the design is to get some traction. So you can take a rubber band. If you find that things are slipping out of your fingers, you can take a rubber band, twist it, wrap it around, twist it, wrap it around, twist it, wrap it around. Let's see what I'm doing there. I'm twisting it, and I'm wrapping it around. And what I end off with is some sort of pattern like that. And whatever pattern you do doesn't really matter as long as the rubber is kind of just on there so it has something to grip onto. So this will help you pick up things like I don't know, ping pong balls and cups better because you have more friction. But anyway, so that is the basic idea of how to make a claw or prosthetic hand using cups and straws and string. Here's more an elaborate one. Here's the simple basic 2 version, and here you can see again the 3 different joint styles you can do. You can do a single joint like this, you can do the double joint like the blue one, or you can do the more human-like 3-jointed one. Bye.